My name is Juma. Currently, I'm working as a manager of an addiction facility around Kilki. So I've been given an opportunity to talk to you guys about mental health. And anajua mmeambiwa watu watoe vitabu na kalamu, but I tend to prefer we make it a little bit more practical in the context of the things I'm going to talk about are the things that either you have experienced, you are experiencing them, or you might experience them in the near future. Yeah? And I'm just giving you, come how does the experience, I'm just giving you a glimpse on what to expect, and I might also in one or another give you ways of preventing experiencing some of these things that life might throw onto us. So I'll start from here. There's this young man who came from a very, very humble background, and his parents tried their best to take him to the schools that they thought were good for him. The guy went to school, he finished his primary, he went to high school, a day high school, he did his 4 years, he finished. He went to campus. There's a very, very, very long story there in campus. But he did his campus, he finished. And there are things that this young man expected from life. He expected, since he has done so well, life will be good. He expected things will fall from heaven like manna. Yeah. Kazi yako ni kokota na kufanya nini? Na kukula tu. He expected people will be looking for him everywhere. Because, like I said, he did very, very, very well. And the motivation of him doing very well was not because of the fancy life, not because of money, wealth, and all those kinds of things. He did it because his dad had told him, if you dare get anything below a first class, I'm not coming to that graduation, because I don't attend graduations for losers. For humble, hizo second upper class na second lower class, hizo ni watu wa level ingine mimi siwezi attend. So that was the motivation, the fear of his father. So he got the first class. The father came for the graduation. It was not for him, it was not for the son, it was for the father. Because at this particular point he had the bragging rights, right? Nobody in our family, nobody in our clan, nobody in our village has taken anyone to campus, but I have, and my son got a first class. So when the guy is finishing school, he's waiting, he's seated in his father's couch, day in, day out, watching movies, chatting, doing all those kinds of things, waiting for jobs to look for him, because technically, according to the father, the story gave him, is that if you get that, you'll get everything you want. You don't have to look for it, it will look for you. It went on for a few months, 2, 3, we're at 6 months, and things started to change. The young man started getting frustrated. He's frustrated at his father because he lied to him apparently. He's frustrated at life because he's not throwing things down at him. He's frustrated at himself despite getting what many would call the the epitome of education and all that. So the guy goes for 3 months without taking a shower. He literally is irritated by the sight of any human beings. Mind you, he lives in a house, a single room, with his 2 brothers and his father. So he doesn't want to see them, he wants them to go away. But they can't. That's their house, that's their home. He doesn't know what's happening even from his perspective. 4 months without a shower, he doesn't want to talk to anyone, he just wants to be by himself. 5 months, his head is full. He still hasn't showered. 6 months, the guy hasn't showered still. He's going to 7 months. He's weak because he's not eating. He wants the day to end. Usiku ikifika, hataki asubuhi ifike. But shida ni hapati usingizi. So hataki asubuhi ifike, hataki usiku ifike, hataki siku ianze na hataki siku ishe. So in this 7th month, his dad is asking him, my son, what's going on? I can see you're not doing ABCD. Even combing your hair, it's a problem. Even brushing your teeth is a problem. What is going on? And the son is looking at the father, and the rage, the resentment, the pain that is feeling towards the father can't allow him to even say a single word. So he just walks away. The father is calling his mother and like, hey, talk to your son, talk to your son, talk to your son. Ameanza kuwa kama mwanamke hapa, sio? Mood swings kila wakati. Kitu kidogo amekasirika, the next minute tunacheka na yeye. So
The mother is calling the young man and is asking him, "My son, what's going on? I'm being told you're having problems with your father." The young man listens to his mother and she feels comfort, but she's frustrated still at her too. Why? Because the mother constantly wanted him to be perfect. So every time that person is being corrected, they're asking themselves, what did I do wrong? The mother did not care about whatever feelings the guy was feeling at any particular point. To her, perfection was the limit. And when the mother is talking to the son is remembering all those moments, and she's finding it hard in his head to even place the role that basically the mother plays in his life. So he listens. When the mother is done, he says he will change and we go back to default settings, right? We are finishing the 7th month. Conditions are still the same. No shower. We have reached a point where you're not drinking even water, you're not hydrating, you're not eating, you don't want to talk to people, you don't want to do literally anything. At that particular point, to this young man, life is meaningless. To this young man, life doesn't make sense. To this young man, literally everybody on this planet is responsible for the things that he's feeling. And that young man is standing in front of you right now. Any psychologist in the house would have guessed that? Yes. Basically, that's what I'm going to talk about today. Not me, technically, but what mental health is all about. When we hear the word mental health, most of us, at the back of our minds, kitu tunafikirianga ya kwanza ni msee amechizi. But mental health, without any other word added to it, we are just talking about a state of well-being that has 5 things. You can realize your abilities. 2, you can cope with stress. 3, you can work effectively and productively. 4, you have the ability to do what? To grow. And 5, you understand who you are. And like I said, I'm not going to give you notes on that. I just want us to be real and practical when you're looking about this. And I'll allow everyone to use my story as a point of reference. Yeah? When talking about mental health, is that state when, in one or another, as a human being, you know what your abilities are. Every time, at any moment of your life, was it an experiencing stress? Sindio? Especially now, I think if you Google research and all that, it will tell you, you guys are susceptible to more stress than men. So, when we're talking about mental health, is how attuned, how in sync is your mind, your body, and your soul. Are together? When we talk about mental health is, we have sat down and you are listening to 3 things. You are trying to assess 3 things. Our body, our mind, and our soul. Because we cannot be productive or we cannot work effectively if those 3 are not working in the way they are supposed to work. Are together? Most of us are being taught to deal with the mind, right? But the problem is this. The mind exists in the mind inapatikana wapi? Kwa brain, si ndio? Brain iko kwa nini? Kwa kichwa. Kichwa ni nini? Ni mwili. Si ndio? It's a part of the body, right? So, if the body is not okay, no matter how much you try and change your mind, it will not work. Si ndio? Because the nutrients, the food that we eat, the exercises that we do are the ones that make the brain function the way it's supposed to, right? So it always starts with our body. When you're put in a room that is deprived of light, will you think okay? Will you feel things the way you're supposed to? Why? Because your body is deprived of something that is necessary for it. So mental health looks at all that. It's a matter of checking in with yourself constantly to find how your body, your mind, and the soul are doing whatever they're supposed to do. I'm talking about the soul from the perspective of what Pastor Solomon has talked about. Your connectedness to a power greater than yourself. Because as humans, we have limits. Life itself, in the context, when you look at it from a technical perspective, it's on a limit. Most of the things that we have as humans have a limit. There's a level of support in which your parents can offer you if you can wish. Your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, all those kinds of things. So sometimes those are the same people that have hurt us. In my case, my parents. And get this, I'm not saying my parents are bad. I did not say they are bad. But the way they did things made me a particular type of person. But I did not give up at that particular point. You realize that when you reach a point where you can talk for yourself, you can do things for yourself, you have the ability to change some of the things that are happening in your life. And that's what I'm talking about with limits. As humans, nothing a place tunachoka. Inafika a place you say, like, I don't want to push anymore. And that's where now spirituality comes in. So it's a matter of attunement between the body, the mind, and the soul. So mental health, in simple terms, is the equilibrium, the internal equilibrium that is achieved when you have a clear communication between those three aspects: your body, your mind, and your soul. If those three are not communicating, then chances are you'll develop now what we are calling a mental health issue or illness. I know you have individuals here, still talking about the physiology part of it, who have issues with how they look, right? People have insecurities all over, right? And I'm here to tell you this: you have every right to have that insecurity. It's okay for you to have it. But the problem is this: don't wait for another person to come and help you make a difference in the context of what you want to feel or how you want to see yourself. That responsibility is given back to you. If you have a disconnect between how you think about your parents and how they really are, chances are you can develop a mental health issue. People throw around the word depression every single time. I'm depressed, I'm depressed, I'm depressed. We keep telling each other, oh, you know what, I'm stressed out, I'm depressed, and all those kinds of things. That's a mental health issue. Haijamaanisha umechizi. Mental health issue is when we have a level of overwhelming stress that makes it difficult for us to have a connection between our mind, body, and soul. We have a lot of hurt out there in the society, and people are passing it down from one generation to another. You have the power to change that. Are we together? So that's what you're talking about in mental health. It's a point where you can reach what we call self-realization. Self-realization is an experience of consistency in your behavior because you want to achieve a particular goal. At this particular point, let's say an example. If you stop reading, kabisa masomo penye kama ni form 1 or whichever class you are in, if you stop reading at this particular point completely, and then ungoje the final exam at the end of the term, what are the chances you'll be able to pass that exam? Very low, right? So our minds also work in that particular way. There's very little that you could do to avoid a mental health issue if you are not consistently doing things that promote your mental health. How many of us, when you wake up, you just check in with your body? Yeah? Like you're like, mkono inafeel aje, mguu inafeel aje, mgongo inafeel aje. How many of us, Sylvia talked about us sitting with our friends, ever check in with our friends? In the morning when you just see them for the first time, and they're just like, hey, how are you feeling? Hakuna time, Sylvia. Do you think you can have the capacity and the courtesy of checking up on the other person if you don't check on yourself? Can you do that? Na vendo unapatanga by the time sana realize alikuwa na issue, imefika point yenye imekuwa too much. I said I work in a rehab, and we deal with mostly addicts, and some of them will come and you'll ask them, wewe uko na shida ya pombe? Atakwambia hana. And then we have this thing we do, we have a topic on economics of addiction. What we do by that is we just go through your finances and you're like, how much are you using on alcohol every day? We go to every week, we go to every month. Somebody has used alcohol for 20 years. Tukimaliza hiyo hesabu, watu wanaamka wanatoka kwa class before ishe. Because somebody has invested around 14 million in alcohol. You get it? They don't have a problem with alcohol. And because some of us are waiting for us to like break down to know we are experiencing a mental health issue. Breaking down in the traditional Kenyan society is, if I cannot move, najua niko mgonjwa. Sindio? Some of us even are telling our parents here, you know what, hey, unajua, hey, mimi si feel niko poa. Unaweza fika shule? But we forget that as we are also like getting evolving and getting dynamic with life, lifestyles and all that, our mental health illnesses are also doing the same. How? I usually use this example. Most of us, we wait, I will know I am blind when I don't have an eye. Macho yangu haiko. But some of the mental health issues or illnesses, what they do is they make you numb to pain. So that even when you lose your eyes, you will not know you have lost your eyes. It makes sense. We are used to understanding mental health illnesses by kuangalia the outside of the person. But some of them are so smart to the extent that they destroy the inside. By the time they are doing away with the outside, you will not know you are not okay. And that's what addiction does in the context of that. If it destroys how you are thinking, then you wouldn't know you are not thinking right. Sindio? So, what are some of the causes of mental health issues? I'll talk about 3. 1, adverse childhood experiences. What does that mean? The way you are brought up. And I'm not going to talk about this so that when you get out of here, you go and reprimand your parents and scold them because they brought you up the wrong way. For us to have good mental health, we have to have a connection between our mind, body, and soul. And when I'm talking about adverse childhood experiences, these are the things that shape us to become who we are. If the circumstances in which you grew up had a lot of trauma, had a lot of abuse, had a lot of pain, if you don't take charge now and try to smother that inner child, chances are you'll have a lot of mental health issues. I'm not waiting right now for my parent to come and tell me, Juma, you look good, for me to know I look good. Back then, it used to mean the world to me. I have to do that for myself. When we're talking about adverse childhood experiences, is some of us have grown up with parents who constantly tell us we are useless, constantly tell us you cannot amount to anything, constantly tell us you don't look good, either you are too big or you are too small or you are too, all those kinds of things. They make us develop a particular perspective towards ourselves. We look at ourselves with shame. I believe some of us wako hapa but wanajiangalianga kwa mirror kama mtu amecomment kumhusu. Some of us look at themselves in the mirror but they don't see who they are. They see what they want to be. Some of us here are having relationships, are having goals, are having dreams that are not your dreams. They're the dreams of what your parents want for you. They're the dreams of what you saw on social media somebody wants for themselves. Some of us are having relationships of what we lacked, not what we want. And the problem is, you're going for that thing which you lack as a child, looking for it in another person, chances are you'll not get the same satisfaction you thought it will bring you. Because, for example, in your family, there's a lot of domestic violence. You grow up desiring not to have chaos in your life. And you will go for anyone you think doesn't bring you chaos physically. But uangalie from an emotional point of view. People who are controlling, right? People want you to be yourself. People want you to go and experience your dreams. Watakwambia, oh, unajua, weka hapo, I would work for you. Sindio? Yeah, sindio? Alafu ikipata tunachat kwa simu, vita, sindio? So mental health is about all that. So what are some of the signs that you might have a mental health issue? And I'll repeat this again. I'm not telling you this so that I scare you. I'm not telling you this so that I develop some anxiety towards whatever you think about yourself or your life generally. I'm telling you this because you cannot learn without information, right? Ama? Can you learn without being provided with information? If you find yourself losing interest in things that you enjoy, just find yourself all of a sudden you don't find them as interesting as they were. Where you used to having a hobby, you used to enjoy playing basketball, and all of a sudden you're playing basketball still, but it doesn't bring you the satisfaction you usually used to do what? To bring to you. You used to enjoy dancing, you used to enjoy modeling or whatever it is. If you find there's a sudden change in that, chances are you might have a mental health issue. And I'll repeat again, when I'm talking about a mental health issue, haimaanishi umechizika. Nitarudia tena, haimaanishi umechizika. Inamaanisha kuna disconnect between your body and soul. 2, if you find it difficult to concentrate. So when you find yourself to have difficulty in concentrating, you might have a mental health issue, and it might be as simple as just fatigue, sindio, umechoka, ama kuna kitu inakusumbua, ama kuna kitu alisema inakuboa, vitu kama hizo, yeah? 3, when you have difficulty interacting with others. Nikisema difficulty interacting with others, imaanishi per se hautaki kuinteract na watu wengine. Na maanisha ukitaka kuinteract na watu wengine, nini huwa inakuzuia kutofanya exactly that. Ama ukiinteract nao, unakuanga interact kwa nini? Because we have individuals who interact because they just want something from other people. Sindio? Wakimaliza wanafanya nini? Anatembea, sindio? When you have emotional outbursts or changes in your mood, yeah, for a moment you are very, very happy. For the next moment you are very, very sad. That should be interpreted in the context of Kenya unapitia at that particular point. Sindio? If it's at that particular point for you guys at the month, it's okay, it's normal. Sindio? Ikiwa sio hapo, chances inaweza kuwa uko na mental health issue. Another sign that you might have a mental health issue is when you feel a lot of shame. There's a difference between guilt and shame. Guilt is I did something wrong. Shame is I am a bad person. Are we together? If you constantly feel ashamed chances are you have a mental health issue. So when you constantly feel ashamed, and shame looks like when you do something bad, you are always coming to a conclusion that I'm a bad person. Chances are you might have a mental health issue. And a mental health issue at that particular point might look like you have a poor self-image. Those come from when you grew up constantly being told you are the reason why bad things happen in your life. If you are constantly being told bad things that happen on this planet are your fault, chances are you will feel ashamed of yourself. You cannot feel ashamed of another person. Ukipatana na ule mse mwana kuongelesha mbaya because probably of something, anakuambia oh you are embarrassing us, they are the one who are embarrassed, not you. So I usually tell people, somebody tells you that, you just smile because you realize they are the ones who are the problem. You are not the problem. Lastly, I'll talk about suicidal ideation. If you start thinking of suicide, you might have a mental health issue. And on the same note, I'll repeat this, I think you have heard it or you have seen it on TikTok or wherever you see your news from. It's okay for you not to be? Okay. Are we together? Are we together? Sawa, tarudia tena. These things come as interconnect between the body, mind, and soul. Most of you guys here are wearing glasses. If your glasses are projecting, you should see green things. Is there a way I can convince you a particular thing is black? No, right? Because the way you're perceiving things, they will remain to be green. Since I talked about this, if you really care about the person seated next to you, when some of them are going through such things in their life, do not put them down, do not belittle them, do not bully them because of it, but try to get why. If you can't, that's why teachers and administration are there. I'm not telling you to deal with it. I'm telling you, hold space for the other person to get the help that they need. And on that note, people die of suicide. They don't commit suicide. So if you find yourself experiencing some of these things, it's not the end of the world for you. There's help. You can get help if you choose to look for it. I'll keep on saying this again. When somebody is going through some of these experiences, I forgot to mention one. If you find yourself starting to use drugs, that's also a chance you might have a mental health issue all of a sudden. Yeah. We find ourselves having friends, family, relatives who are going through such things. Let's not just assume that people pretend to do these things. I don't think anyone would like to be mad. Would you like to be mad? Let's just be able to hold space for people to do what? To get the help that they need. Basically, that's what mental health is all about. It's about finding the balance between the three. Journals help a lot. When you are writing, technically it's so much more slower than typing, right? So it gives us a chance to write feelings as we experience them, not as our keyboard is predicting them to us. And that's what journaling does. And that gives it an experience of coming out the way it's supposed to, not the way Google wants it to come out. Journaling helps you to get in touch with that. Journaling helps individuals who have grown up in environments where you could not speak your mind to speak your mind without anyone judging you. Because when you talk to your journal, nobody is going to say, hey, we acha kufikiria hivyo, we acha kuongea hivyo, umetumia language mbaya. It allows you to be authentic. And you start yourself asking yourself, how am I feeling today? When mwalimu alikuwa ananiambia hivi ama alikuwa anafanya hivi, ilinifanya ni feel aje? No judgment. And some of us maybe have not experienced these things yet. And I'm not praying for bad things to happen in your life. No, you should have the best life that you can get. So, ile unajitakia, you should have it. It's unrealistic if I don't tell you bad things will happen in your life at one point. And the point of mental health and the point of why your administration allowed us here is to tell you that when that moment comes, will you be your own, a backup or something? How do you see yourself? Every time you look in that mirror, no, nani. How many of us, when you're taking your lunch, you just sat down and try to figure out how it tastes? So basically that's what mental health is all about. Checking in with yourself, knowing what to feel, when you feel them, the point that you feel them, and what you can do about them. Why are we doing all this? It's because our minds are made in a way that when we feel stress, we're always thinking about three things. Either we fight, we flight, or we freeze. When things are overwhelming, and then most of us are always thinking about two. Always mbili. We fight or flight. There's always freeze. How does freeze look like? you dissociating. Dissociating basically means you carry your mind and you remove it from your brain and you go somewhere else. So that when the teacher is talking, go home and unajibamba mbaya sana. Freeze looks like what? When something happens, you faint. Stress ikapenya kwa life yako na kwama tu, haufikiri, hausongi, haufanyi kitu yote. Hutaogopa ku maintain eye contact. Constantly learn to check in with yourself. That will help you maintain a healthy relationship with you, because if you constantly wait for other people to be checking on you, chances are they might disappoint you. People will not know you are going through something if you don't talk to them about it. People will not know they have hurt you if you don't talk to them about it. People will not know you are struggling with a particular subject if you don't talk about it. To avoid those cycles zote za kujishame, za kufeel vibaya about your life and all that, you have to talk about what you are going through. Most of us are afraid of doing counseling because they feel like what we do is nataka tusikize story yako alafu tukupatie solution alafu uende. Isipowork mtu anakaa kama amejam, si ndio? Wewe ulindanganya nifanye kitu alafu haikuwork. Sasa wewe you are a scam. Counseling is a scam, counseling is a scam and all that. Talking is therapeutic in itself. Why? Because it's a matter of just somebody validating your reality. Naona venye una feel about yourself. It's not a myth. You have every right to feel whatever you are feeling about yourself. We're just telling you in one or another kuna njia ingine ya kudili na vitu. Ikuwe ni stress. Counseling gives you a chance for you to know between A and Z there are 24 other letters which you can choose whichever works for you. So in your life, think about your goals, think about your dreams, and think about who you are at this particular point, what you feel about yourself, what you think about yourself, what you believe about yourself. If it's negative, chances are you might develop a mental health issue. Whichever background you come from, whatever people say about you, people telling you how dramatic you are about your problems, how crazy you are about your dreams, how little, how, I don't know, all those kinds of things. No matter how neglectful or secure your environment is, at the end of the day, always believe you are the one who makes a choice if either you make it or not. Mental health issues are common. They are part of life. They only become worse when we don't do something about them. And you might ask, what can I do about them? And like I've said over and over again, it's a matter of checking in with yourself, checking in with your friend. At Taraji, they do that, right? When you come and sit down and like, hey, we're just checking how you feel. And nobody will judge you for that. Can you do that with yourself? Can you do that with your friends? Instead of constantly criticizing them, constantly seeing them as bad, as short, and all those kinds of things. I'll tell you this, still on self-image. Perfection is an illusion. Hakuna kitu kama perfection. Sawa? And I'll use this example. Is this thing perfect? If we look at something and we think it's not perfect, if we remove one thing from this, it doesn't make it perfect. If we add something on this, it doesn't make it perfect. It just makes it our idea of what we think perfect is. Some of us are thinking, if I change my hair, I will be perfect. If I change whatever, I will be perfect. Perfection is relative. Perfection is, I look at myself and I accept who I am for the person that I am. Your destiny is in your hands. I find that vague. I believe destinies are not in hands. I believe whatever your destiny is the creation of those three things. Whatever you create in a connection between those three things that we have talked about is where destiny lies. If you don't work on your body, your mind and your soul, you will not have a good destiny in whichever way you think about it. In real life, there are people out there who are just preying on you, preying on your vulnerability, preying on your desperation to be loved, and they just want to take advantage of that. In real life, people don't forget their shoes and you look for them and they become their soulmates. Real life, I work hivyo. Hope unajua hivyo. Your goals won't come to you, you have to go to them. And you cannot do that when you may drop out of school because of that. That's just simple advice. I don't know much about life. I don't. You have to be realistic. I beg to end my talk on that. I hope we have learned something. I wish you all the best in whatever you are doing within your life. Yes.